morning, everyone. So Vijender here, I'm the founder of Alumnx AI Labs. We do, we do some projects we have a couple of products. One is in agriculture, other one is related to tech, right? And we primarily build, we also help in upskilling in corporates and working professionals, right, in AI. So alongside, what I felt was, while these people get upskilled, it's better to work on real projects and projects which can make an impact, right? Rather than working on some book recommendation system and that goes to help nobody, correct? So that's where I was thinking a bit, and I was thinking that agriculture is a great space in India, which is a problem that requires help today, right? Because a variety of challenges, global warming, also because of shortage of workforce, right, labor, and rising input costs, correct? So all of these things, I feel AI can make a significant impact and can help Indian farmers in a lot of ways, right? So again, I'm not saying I'll solve all the problems, but let's start somewhere. So we partnered with, so I think several months ago, I think 5 months ago, I think Divesh sir and Arvind Jha sir and a few others joined, a call which I had set up, right? Similar kind of meeting where we discussed about how AI can, solve some problems. What are the problems that are priority? What are pressing? And we said, how can we address them? So subsequent to that, in the same call, I had a few farmers who joined that call, and they came forward and shared their problems. And ever since, we have been trying to solve some small problems of this, right? Someone wanted geotagging using drone imagery and stuff like that. So we have been building some chota mota solutions for them, right? Nothing very on a very big scale, correct? But recently, as part of my cohort programs, which my upskilling programs, we've been looking at MCP and all that, right? Model Context Protocol. And it is a new paradigm which has been introduced because of the capabilities that AI offers, right? So then I thought, there must be a better way how we can use AI for, giving access to the research being done in the various research organizations like ICRISAT, IRI, or even other various universities like Vignan University. And recently I went to Anurag University. There also they have an agriculture department, right? And so in Vignan University also I went to the agriculture department recently, correct? So a lot of these organizations are doing a lot of interesting work, and then we also have SMEs, right? I think Divesh sir also is an expert in his own area. There are some FPOs who are experts in their areas. So different people. It's not only about agriculture research. People with knowledge which they can contribute to, correct? So if we have all these people with their diverse sources of information and knowledge, which is stacked away today, I feel it's stacked away. I've been after some time, I will open the floor for discussion, and feel free to chip in along the way, right? Anyone on the call, feel free to chip in wherever you feel is appropriate. So the central tenet is, the idea is, if we have some research being done, or we have access to, the farmers should get access to that knowledge, right? And it's not only for farmers directly, it can also be other researchers trying to access the work done by other researchers, correct? So someone in Vignan University should be able to access research being done in ICRISAT in a much more open manner than how it is done today, right? Probably they do publish today. There is some way how they're doing it. Like ICRISAT might publish it to say some journals, and people access those journals, correct? But then I think that's the thing of the past, right? That's pretty much thing of the past. Now we should have a much more digital way of connecting, accessing, and utilizing that information, correct? So that's where MCP comes in, and I will talk a little bit about the architecture, why MCP, and how this kind of really brings about that power we can leverage to make that difference, okay? So I'll also give some demonstrations so that you get a better feel of what is this exactly, right? So first things first, before we start, any questions? Anyone, any questions in terms of what are we trying to do, or what is the scope? So again, the scope is to build an MCP exchange or MCP kind of a infrastructure where different organizations, it can be research organizations, it can be universities having agriculture departments, it can be individual SMEs, right? People with who do consulting, correct? even them, they can register themselves on this exchange, the MCP exchange, and their knowledge can be provided to whoever needs it, right? And of course, if somebody says, this is confidential, you need to have a API key or something to access this, that's fine, so be it, right? But otherwise, if it is in the public domain, anybody should be able to access it. So, Divesh sir, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just thinking that government, you might have also heard in this year's budget announcement, they're also trying to leverage open agriculture data and putting a layer of AI to that.
Yeah.
So how would we miss whatever the scope we have defined? It
Yeah.
should be collaborative, and how we can leverage the government's initiative for
Yes.
benefit of both the parties or
Yes.
stakeholders.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think the idea is not to duplicate effort, right? So if the government is already planning something, I think if we can understand what they are also doing, then we can collaborate or see how we can contribute and get this going. Yeah. So so again, the effort should be towards no, again, my goal right now is to kind of explain how this is working, okay, how MCP works, and give you an idea, right? Again, I'm not saying we're making it a solo entity, so that people can take this knowledge forward in whatever way possible, right? And also, again, if somebody is aware of the right contacts in the government who are working on that, we could probably collaborate with them and help them as well. No issues there,
Right.
right? Yeah. So the important thing today is the reason I'm conducting the sessions, a lot of people are not aware of MCP and the possibilities that they offer, and maybe even the government is not looking at it in that direction. But maybe we kind of put in that perspective and see how can we uh, consider this as an option, or maybe there are better options. Correct. Ultimately, it's about
Correct.
having knowledge, right? Yeah. So so any other questions before we get going? Yeah. So, so what I'll talk about is again, today's topic is about MCP in the context of setting up an exchange where organizations can share their knowledge. Oh, why do we need to have this, right? So before we understand MCP and all this, we should understand what is the problem, right? What is the existing problem that really is not helping us solve, or it's still a problem today for which we are saying MCP solution. So let's say we have, so I'll just share my screen. You can see my screen, right? So let's say we have, I'll just, yeah, just zoom it in. So today, how does it work, right? So today, pretty much, if you see, I have, say, Crisat. Okay, so I'm just taking some names. Okay, so don't worry about whether it's Crisat or what it is. Okay, Indian Rice. Let's say they're doing some research. You have Vignan University. Who are doing work in agri. They have the agri department. Okay, and and then we have some SMEs, subject matter experts. Okay, so SMEs can be in the form of, again, FPOs, FPO experts. They can be citrus experts. There are various SMEs in various subject matter experts in various areas. Now today, suppose I want to access some knowledge of the satellite. Somebody's published some work and we want to access it. Typically, how do you access it? ICRISAT will say, hey, you know what, I got an API. Okay, so ICRISAT will say, I got an API, and in that API, Mama is asking this. So in that API, they say, these are all the details I have. Okay, and then you will say, okay, I also got my own API, or they might say, you know what, all my docs were there, some SFTP server, correct, where so one of these they'll say, but let's keep it as API for now. Okay. Now, let's say Vignan University gives an API, but today again, experts, they don't have an API or anything, correct? So these people, mostly how people reach out to is through individual one-on-one, right? Or a discover tells about, there's some SME expert in citrus. So some farmer says, oh, this person is great, and he refers to somebody else and refers to somebody else and so on. But it's a very slow and slow process of discovery, and it's not always possible or guaranteed that the expert can reach out, correct? Now, there's a lot of this information stashed away and kept aside. Now, even if you look at the APIs, right? Suppose I have a consuming, okay? So let's say I have a consuming application now, which is trying to kind of provide this knowledge to, let's say, farmers or researchers, right? Now, these researchers can be agri-researchers as well, correct? Or anybody who wants to do research using this knowledge, correct? So what we have to do is we have to pretty much take this, EgriSat provides this API, we have to consume this API, and this consuming application will then use that API to provide access to the farmers and researchers, okay? So here also it's the same story. You have to use this API, and here also you use the same API. But the challenge with this approach, what is the challenge with this approach? Anyone? What is, I mean, there's no challenge, but then what could be the problem with this kind of an approach? Any quick thoughts? Anyone?
That is one way. So what farmers really, so everybody is doing something, trying to figure out what the challenge farmer is facing and trying to do some research around it and then pushing it to the farmers. The farmers are not able to get back or communicate in an agile manner with the ecosystem stakeholders. So
Correct.
this is one way. It's not two-way information highway.
Correct. That's perfect. That's also great. Yes, that's also very nice. So that's a good point. Anybody else? Yeah. So that's great. So there's no two-way communication. They just get one-way access, and they just have to consume. They have no way of getting more information because yeah, that's great. Anything else as a problem?
Latency issues.
So latency, yeah, latency can be there anyways, okay. But from a perspective of consuming APIs based approach, okay. So anyway, I'll tell the answer, okay.
Here the farmer also one thing what I have experienced, the farmer needs, he is an entrepreneur and he's facing all the challenges on his field on a daily basis, and he has to really solve them because his livelihood is directly dependent on farming practice. Now the challenge is whatever knowledge is being developed or discovered anywhere across the globe, it's not reaching him because there is he's not able to access user or the practitioner of knowledge. He doesn't have access to that, and that is the real challenge. And even if the information is available, it is in such a language or language that he doesn't understand it. And so everything, whatever is being done, has to be simplistic enough for the farmer to really understand it and adopt it and then use it as a package of practice. That's the real challenge. Whether it's a drone technology or satellite technology or any technology, new age technologies or the traditional technologies, the real problem still is the how does he apply that knowledge or research on his farm.
Correct. Absolutely. Correct. That's absolutely spot on. So that's why, sir, we just FYI at Alumnx AI Labs, the firm I'm where I founded, which I founded, we are building AgriGPT, which is going to give that 360-degree kind of a view, and also it communicates in the language of the farmer. Okay, so that's an agentic AI application, and that is slightly different. Okay, I don't want to get into that now, but the goal of that is to solve some of the points that you are mentioning, right? Like not in the language and two-way communication, right? It solves all of that. But under the hood, it should be powered by this MCP. Okay, so that is the reason why we are talking about this. So our AgriGPT application will be using this MCP architecture to make it more powerful. Okay, so today what our AgriGPT is doing is it is using these APIs from these various research organizations. Or if I have an SME, I ask them for a PDF, and again I put it the PDF in my server, and then I do all that stuff. So it's too much of mechanical. So today scaling is very hard, correct? So what MCP, the main problem of this architecture, okay, whatever architecture you're seeing here, the main problem is if this API, whatever EgriSat is providing, changes the contract. Okay, suppose initially, what is the contract? The contract is, suppose they'll say, call this endpoint call /pests diseases. Okay, /citrus. So they'll say call this API. Okay, IRI is providing /rice/variety. Let's say some endpoint which is providing rice variety data. Correct. Now suppose they are providing this data, right? And these are the endpoints which are being provided by them. Down the line, if this particular endpoint changes, okay, when EgriSat changes it and they don't communicate to us, this endpoint breaks. Okay. Now again, I have to go to EgriSat and say, sir, I feel your endpoint has changed, or even not only the endpoint, even the payload, the implementation has changed, or something, the contract has changed. it is a very painful process to again go and discover, because it will keep breaking. Now the consuming application will simply say, I'm trying to reach out to AgriSat, but I'm not getting data. Error 403 or improper JSON structure or something like that, it will say. So ultimately, this is the challenge. So even for Vignan University, suppose now they build an endpoint, and they will have their own signature, correct? So they will say research, just say research, okay? Now the point is, for each one of them, I have to go and connect with them, get the knowledge from them in terms of how the payload works, get the contract from them, integrate it directly, and do it, correct? So two challenges. One challenge is I have to go to every organization, get their APIs, and integrate it with them, get the contract, integrate it with them. That's one. So it is very painful, right? For every organization, I have to do it. Second thing is, if the contract changes every time, it's again a problem. It again breaks. Okay. So these are some of the practical challenges in this one. It's not impossible. It's not that it cannot be done, but MCP is a solution to make this simpler. Okay, as simple as that, right? So MCP, I'll tell you how it makes it simple. Okay. So what MCP says is, hey, don't go and ask them for this endpoint and API and all these things. What you do is just tell them to define what all tools they have, okay, in a JSON format, what all tools they have. Okay, tell them to list down all their tools they have. Okay, so what the AgriSat will say is, I have a tool called pest diseases. Okay, so they will publish a list like this. Okay, so what they will do is they will publish a list of tools like this, right? So where is this left align? Yeah. So one tool is pests-diseases is one tool. Then soil is one tool. Groundwater is another tool. Okay. So let's just call them as tools so that you understand what they are meaning. Correct. So that's it. They'll just say these are the tools I have. Okay. And they will also declare each of these tools what will be their signatures, what should be their inputs and what should be the output to this tool. That's it. Right. They don't tell what is the API under that, what is going on, nothing. Okay. Similarly, IRI will also publish a tool. IRI will say, I have only one tool, which is rice treatment, let's say, whatever, rice pest treatment. Okay. So there's one tool called pest treatment tool, which IRI publishes. Okay. Now, what I've been saying here, Vignan University also will publish its own tools. Okay, so everybody just publishes their tools. Vignan will say research in flowers, correct? Or whatever, horticulture, right? Horticulture tool. Okay. And maybe they say sericulture, say vermiculture. I can do. Okay. Now, what is going to happen due to this, right? What is this and how is this exactly different and what's happening, correct? So on a conceptual level, what we are saying is everybody just publishes their tools, and you have an MCP layer which just discovers these tools and makes an appropriate call to the respective tool depending upon what the consuming application or the farmer is asking. Okay. So let's say the farmer is going to ask a question saying, looks like on my rice field, there are a lot of pests. What should I do? Okay. So what the AI application, which is the consuming application, is now powered by AI, right? So the entire MCP will be working only if there is an AI application, right? Because the whole MCP is brought about by the power of AI, correct? So the AI application, what it will do is it will understand that the farmer is looking for help with rice for pests and diseases, correct? So it will immediately make a call to this IRI tool, and the tool inside of IRI will make sure that it is going to get us the data. How it does, we don't care, correct? It is going to be getting us the data. Getting us the data from inside that, correct? So some of the challenges that I told you earlier, right, in terms of the API, what is the contract definition and all, will already be defined in that. And if there is a change in the contract also, no problem, because AI will just dynamically discover the tool and dynamically make a call. Okay. So if there's a change in the contract or whatever it is absolutely smooth. Okay. Now, again, you might not completely understand what's going on. So what I'll do is I will show you with an example. Okay. So typically, again, I'll just show you some slides. Okay. So this is how it kind of works. Okay. At a high level. So an MCP client and an MCP server. Okay. So you have a host. Okay. You have a host, and this host will have the various MCP clients, and these MCP clients will use the MCP protocol to make a request to the MCP server. So don't worry too much. Okay, just go with the flow. I'll show you examples, you'll understand what's going on. So these MCP servers are exposed by ICRISAT, by ARI or Vignan University, and you have the clients, which are various AI applications which are discovering the tools provided by those organizations, and then just saying, okay, I need to call that tool for this question, this tool for this question, that tool for that question, correct? It dynamically makes a decision what tool to call depending upon what user query is coming in. Cool. So that way is we are not saying if-else statements and all that. So if the farmer comes and says, I want a question which combines the capabilities of multiple tools, then it automatically makes a call to multiple tools. Cool. So that's the power that we get out of this. Okay. So yeah. So typically, if you see, this is how it works. The MCP client, right, which resides on the application side, the AI application side, it says, first MCP server, get me all your tools. List tools, request, say, give me all your tools you have. And then the MCP client will say, call tool request. So if the user is asking for pests and diseases, it will call the tool of ICRISAT, right? It will call this tool, right? Pests and disease tool. If the request is coming for soil, it will call the soil tool. If the request is coming for vermiculture, it will make a call to the vermiculture tool, right? So the power of AI is in understanding what is the user's intent and figuring out which tool will serve the user's request the best and dynamically going and calling it. Okay, so that is the power of AI, and that is facilitated with the help of MCP or the Model Context Protocol. Okay, any questions till here? So I'll give you a small demo so that you understand better. But until now, do you have any questions? Anyone?
Oh, this is
Anyone? Any questions?
quite useful.
Hello. Yeah, your voice is breaking, Divya sir. Can you come again? Is it breaking for me?
I'll get back to you later.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Let's proceed. Okay. Now, the you'll be amazed by the power of MCP by a simple demonstration which I'll give you. Okay. So what is like I said, you have an MCP which is a client and a host, correct? I've shown you over here. The MCP client is connected to an MCP server, and it's making dynamically discovering the tools. Okay. So I am in Claude Desktop. This is Claude Desktop. Okay. Claude Desktop is the desktop installation of Claude. Okay. Now here, what we are saying is, I have defined my MCP server. So you can go here. You also can install it. Okay. So you can go to settings, and I go to developer. And when I go to developer, I'm seeing that I have two MCP servers here. One is an MCP text analysis and Firecrawl. Okay. MCP text type analysis is my own MCP server. Okay. Which I have developed and which provides my own tools. Okay. Now, if you want to see what tools does it have, I go to connectors, and I go to MCP here, right? I go to configure, and you can see this. These are all the tools that I have provided. Isn't that cool? Now, count total hours. This is a simple text analysis tool, MCP server, which I created, right? It has all the tools. What it will do, it will count the total number of hours in a given string. It will count the total vowels. It will analyze the text. It will count the specific character in that string. It will tell capital of country. It will send my mail. It will find longest word. So again, if you are thinking, what is all this? Is it what you really use? Okay, they may not be of use for everybody, but the important idea is you get a context and a feel of what is the power of it. Okay. Now, in this particular file, so I'll show you how I'm defining it. Okay. So this is server.py. Okay. I'll show you how simple it is and how powerful it is. Okay. So what we have done is we have defined an MCP server. Okay. And I've defined these as tools. Can you see this? This count total hours, count vowels, right? Analyze text. These are all count specific characters tools, tell capital of country, which you can see in this list of tools, correct? Tell capital of country. You can see that it's coming from here. So I've defined them as tools in my MCP server, and I've exposed it to Claude Desktop, right? And I've told Claude Desktop, hey, there is my MCP server. You connect to it, get all the tools, and you call any tool of your choice depending upon what is your use case. Okay, that's it. Now, I am not going to expose you. How am I going to do? When I say count total R's, that means total number of letter R's in a Bayesian string. I'm not going to give you the logic, right? Because you don't care. You care about what are the values, right? What is the count vowels? How I do it, you don't care. You just want me to count the vowels, correct? Send my email. This is my custom email, which I am writing myself, the tool, correct? How I do it is irrelevant to you, right? So, without doing any extra work, I am giving you the ability to call a tool of mine. Okay, now let us see it in action. Okay, so let's say I have a new chat. I go new chat and I say, what were the tools again? We said count the number of hours. Okay, count the number of hours in the string. Hello world. We are exploring MCP. Okay. Now, if you see this, it's going to get the number of hours and it's going to use the MCP analysis tool. Can you see this? It's saying I'll use the MCP text analysis tool to count the number of hours in the string. And it's coming here and it's saying Claude wants to use count total hours from MCP, text analysis tool. Okay. So I'll say yes. So in fact, can you see this? It's saying hello world, we're exploring MCP, and it is calling this specific tool called count total hours. Can you see this? It is not picking any other tool. If you see, there are several other tools. Send my mail. It could have called count specific character, right? It could have called this, but it didn't do that. It called this particular tool called count total hours. Why? Based on the doc string, correct? Now I say yes. Okay, I say hello once. Okay, and it's going to give me the count. There are 3 hours in the string hello world. We are exploring MCP. Cool. So it is not calling anything outside. It is using my tool, right? So what is the power of this? What is the benefit of it using my tool? It gives me the power to define my tool whatever way I want. That's one. Secondly, this is a simulation of how ICRISAT's tools can be exposed in exactly the same way, correct? So let's say ICRISAT is exposing its tools. It will also define its tools in exactly the same manner. It will call it as maybe over here, ICRISAT -MCP, correct? That's it. And whatever tools are there in this server, all of those will be exposed and I can directly make a call. Isn't that cool? Right? So I'll also show another MCP server. So again, just to give another example, like, we can also say analyze text. Can you see this analyze text? So typically I'll say analyze the text called hello world, we are exploring MCP. Okay. So let's see what it will get. This will also make an MCP call to our tool, correct? It has to see. It's saying analyze text from MCP text analysis. I say allow once, and it's going to give me an output. Can you see this? Word count, character count. Now, if you were to use this in Claude Web, okay, I go to Claude Web. This is Claude Web. Okay, I go to Claude Web. I give this analyze the text. Okay, what do you think it's going to give me? Anyone? I'm running it, right? Claude Web. I can see the text you're providing. Can you see this? It is giving you the analysis, what it thinks is the analysis, correct? But what is it that you are expecting? You are expecting something like this. What is the word count? What is the character count? What is the sentence count? What is the average word length? What is the most common word? And what is the most common word count? This is what you are expecting. But what is Claude giving you? It is giving you all this, correct? Now, this is not what you want, right? So that is the power of MCP, that you can force it to call a tool of your choice to give the output in the way you want it, correct? So typically, if a farmer wanted a particular tool to give a response in a particular language or particular format, you can define your own tool which can do it exactly the way you want, right? Or if some organization exposes it, then we get the output in that particular format. Okay, so the power of MCP is any organization can publish their own MCP server, just like I am publishing my MCP server here. And my MCP server is called MCP-text analysis. Anybody can publish their own MCP server, define their tools, and define their implementation in those tools, and that's it. It's just a matter of connecting the MCP and using it to make calls. Okay. Now I'll explain one more thing. Now you might say, Vijay, you know what, you're rigging everything. You're, just putting something. I mean, I don't know what's going on. So I'll show you a third-party tool. Okay, not my MCP server, somebody else's. So the third-party MCP server is called Firecrawl. Okay. So Firecrawl is a third-party. Okay, Firecrawl is a third-party. They provide tools for scraping. Right, you want to scrape a website, you want to get data from a website, it scrapes it and gets the data for you. Okay, it's a very powerful API. Okay, now what we have done is we have connected their MCP server. Okay. Now I won't get into the technical implementation of how this is working, guys. Okay. I think it's out of scope. Okay. Just focus on that. Okay. So this MCP server is going to give me tools. What tools does Firecrawl have? Let us look at it. Let's go to connectors and let us go to configure. And you can see that when I click on expand, it shows me all the tools that Firecrawl is exposing. Correct. So Firecrawl scrape, Firecrawl map, Firecrawl search, Firecrawl crawl, all this stuff is there. Got it? Now these are the tools which it is exposing, and I can use any one of these tools with absolutely no clue about how it is being implemented, right? But I know at a high level, AI knows at a high level what is the difference between scrape and map, right? Can you and I know this? No, we don't. Correct? But AI will know, because when you define a particular tool, you define the doc string or the metadata corresponding to that particular tool. If you can see here, when I say analyze text, I am saying it that this analyze text will provide various statistics. This is the input, this is the output, and this is the exact structure in which I'm going to return the response, correct? So there is a doc string for every MCP tool, which the AI will use to determine what is this tool going to do, and then make a decision whether it should call this tool or the tool above, correct? So that doc string is all it takes, and that is the power of AI, right? It understands what your tool is meant for, it understands the intent of the user, and it connects both of them in a seamless manner, right? As long as your tool is doing what it's supposed to do, more often than not, 95% that AI never makes a mistake in terms of picking up the right tool, right? If you give ambiguous text, right? If your text is meant to be like, count specific characters, but you've given a very vague description of it, then it will not be able to do a good job. So your focus should be on defining this doc string in a very clear manner so that you can pick up this tool. Okay. So let's look at how Firecrawl is used. Okay. Now what I'm doing here is I'm not telling the AI or this Claude desktop, hey, you should use Firecrawl or you should use that MCP. Now I have two MCPs. I have 7 plus 7, I think roughly around 13 or 14 tools, correct? I ask any question I want, it decides which one to call. So let's say I say scrape the homepage of alumnx.com and give me a summary of what you find about Alumnx. Okay. So if you see, I'm asking this question, okay, and if I ask the same question, let me ask the same question here also in the Claude desktop, in the Claude web, okay, I can put a new chat and I say, give me this, okay. So let's compare the difference between both of them, okay. So this is the Claude web, and I give a request that say it's trying to scrape the homepage, and it says the page appears to have minimal content displayed, just the alumnx.com text. This is the minimum sites, it's saying that it's not able to get the data much, but it is using my search results and it's trying to get some other data from somewhere. It's not getting me data from my website, correct? But if I were to use this, in the Claude desktop, I've connected the MCP with Firecrawl, and it is immediately detecting that, hey, I have Firecrawl script, which can be the best tool for your job, right? And it's giving the URL, it's giving the formats, everything, because it is dynamically discovering the tool. It is dynamically discovering what is the request response payloads, everything it gets dynamically and makes a call. So I say, allow, okay, go ahead. And you'll notice that it will actually scrape it and get the data for me. Cool. See this. This is how powerful it is, correct? So what Claude by itself cannot do, right? Or what an existing application by itself cannot do, this particular MCP is giving me that power, because I am not even integrating the API. If you look at it, I don't even have any API details. I don't even know, is it HTTP or HTTPS or what it is also. I just need the information of what is the MCP server. That's it. So I go to developer. How do I configure this? I click on edit config. And over here, this is a config file which I define, and that's it. Boom. You see how simple this is. This is the config file corresponding to Firecrawl, guys. That's all there is to it. That's it. And I get the entire power of Firecrawl. Cool. And this is my MCP server corresponding to my text analysis. Okay. And I get the entire power of all the tools I define. That's all there is. There is no development, nothing. Right. So tomorrow, if I want to use a new MCP server corresponding to ICRISAT, all I have to do is just define this JSON definition, guys. That's it. That's all there is to it. Right. So that's the power and brilliance of MCP, correct? And tomorrow, if Firecrawl releases a new tool, I get it automatically, because I'm not telling it explicitly, these are the tools you need to use. It dynamically gets it, dynamically uses it. Isn't that cool? Any questions? Anyone? I hope it's I hope it's clear so far. Any questions, anyone? You guys with me? So what I'll do is, if you're all clear, I'll give you a demo on WhatsApp, how our solution is going to work. Okay. So everybody clear about how this is working so far? Yeah. Okay. So what we did is, we wanted to actually see it in action. So, we built this and, I understand in Cloud Desktop it works and all this is sounding fancy and all, but, what's in it for the Indian farmer? What is the relevance of the agriculture context of all this? So what we did is we built our own MCP server just for our Alumnx AI Labs MCP server, where we are exposing various tools which will help in discovering various aspects of agriculture. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write, this is the WhatsApp. Okay, and in WhatsApp I'm going to ask certain specific questions. Okay, so I'm going to say importance, tell me about importance of pest management in citrus. Okay, so this is what a farmer would actually do. Tell me about the importance of pest management in citrus. Okay, natural language, English, and the goal is it goes into the backend. It goes and connects with an MCP server. And they're already MCP servers connected to my backend. It will discover all which are there. It gets the best tool and it gets the data from there. Okay, so the tool it is connected to right now is the pest management tool. Okay, so the pest management tool is giving me this data. So who is exposing this pest management tool? It can be CRISAT, it can be ERI, it can be anyone. The AI decides the best tool from the best source to get this information for us. If there are multiple tools, okay, if there are multiple tools giving the same information, it will give the response from these multiple tools, and it will give you the sources and say that this is what I found in ICRISAT, this is what I found in say Vignan, ERI, or this is what I found in Vignan University, or these are some SMEs who are also giving some useful information related to what you're asking. Okay, what do you want me to pick? Okay, or what do you want me to do to dive deep into it? So if you feel that a particular SME is giving you more relevant information in the context of the available sources, then it will dive deep into that and make it get more and more information from you, retaining the context that you're already having. Okay, so this is what we are going to expose to an Indian farmer. Okay, WhatsApp is a new medium through which we want to expose our solution. Okay, now let's ask some more questions. Okay, so we can ask something like what are the major insects and pests in citrus? Okay, so again, you can ask this one as well, and it cannot with the available, I cannot provide into the major insects and pests in citrus, right? So with the available tools, how I can implement pesticides for agriculture purposes. Okay, so search for pesticides, you can do farming. Okay, so again, it depends on the tools which are available. I think the existing tools are not really having all that, right? So I think Lakshman, I think we can help with soil. Do you have a soil tool? Yeah, again, just to give an illustration. So
hello, sorry, I am on mute. I'm on mute. I thought I was audible. So the major insect pests in citrus worked, the query, correct?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I did. Yes, it's working.
Yeah.
What are the other tools we
Another
have?
question you can ask is major diseases and fungicides in citrus we can ask.
No, but it's again related to citrus, right? Is there any other tool that's available that like soil or anything else? Okay.
Yes, I think there is one related to soil. I'll just post in 1 second.
Okay, fine. That's fine. So again, this is again, you can ask any other question if there's a tool related to that, it gets the data from that, right? The idea is that it's able to discover the tool and get the response, right? Here it's got a tool which is giving this pest management and it's able to get it. Now you can also have a tool which will get you schemes data, correct? So if you can use the farmer can say, tell me about government schemes. Okay. and it can fetch that appropriate tool if AP government exposes a tool for that. So whoever releases a tool to MCP, it can directly gets it. Now it says it cannot provide information, so yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that's the high level information about how MCP works and what is this concept. So now the goal as a next step is to kind of we are partnering with a few SMEs, and we're trying to see if they are interested in publishing their knowledge as an MCP tool, so that whatever queries are going to come from farmers, they're going to route it to that, right? And we'll see how it works. If it's kind of adding value to farmers, we'll try to again expand a little bit more by reaching out to these organizations. And I think, like the Sir has mentioned, we can probably go to the relevant government organizations and give them a demo as to how this works, and probably either share our knowledge or work with them to help them get this rolling out. Okay. So that's the idea, and that's what it is in a nutshell. Okay. So that's it. I mean, I don't want to bore you with more stuff on a Saturday morning. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take. Or again, I would like to hear your perspectives. If you have any ideas or any thoughts in terms of how we can take it forward, or how it can be useful for Indian farmers.
No, this is a good idea, I would say, Vijender, and we'll discuss in detail a bit whenever you have time, how we can make it more robust, and how I can be of more help to you.
Yeah, sure,
We'll connect separately. Yeah. I'm in a low unstable network area, so a bit I couldn't hear a few parts of your explanation.
Oh, okay.
So we'll connect again.
Okay.
If you have something you would like to share on email or whatever, if you can summarize the discussion and just let me know, even over WhatsApp message, then it's fine. Good enough. We'll stay connected.
Sure. I'll do that, sir. Definitely, I think I'll need some support, and also how we can, get this moving forward, right? So that we can make this operational. Yeah. Sure. Thank you for joining, sir. And what about the others? Any quick thoughts, questions? What about the others?
Is there any model that we evaluate this model? Because how do we test whatever the context that have been given? Is it right or not? How do we evaluate this model? Is there any particular method?
Okay, that's a good question. So we have something called evals. Okay, model evaluations called evals. So what we do in evals is we have various techniques. So we have something called a golden data set where we publish all the test cases, and we say if you get this, then this is something it is. Then we also have something called LLM as a judge. So what the output is coming, correct? Is it a correct output or not? It kind of evaluates it and lets us know. Okay. So that is also something that we have. So we use all these techniques to do the evaluation, like it's a QA, right, for models. Yes.
But sometimes the LLM gets hallucinated, right? How do you resolve this issue?
So in the test cases that we have, right, we actually put in the test case and we say that we know beforehand what the LLM should give as a response versus what the LLM is giving as a response. We compare those, right? So we try to make sure that is the LLM giving an answer in the context of what was being asked. So the test case itself will test it. So we will have test cases for that, right? And only after we test everything and the results are positive, then only we release it. So in retrieval augmented generation, right, you will have in the retrieval space, there's various things like accuracy, precision, and recall, and all that, right? So we have all these measures. They're all metrics. So we measure those metrics, and if those metrics are positive, then only we are good. Then only we release.
So have you built using RAG applications and LangChain using MCP servers?
Yes, our backend is powered by RAG. So today again we have dummy data. Dummy data as in because I'm not an agriculture scientist, right? I'm not an expert. So what we have done is we have collected some research documents from some SMEs, and then we are using that for demo purpose, right? Because people don't understand how it works, right? So we're trying to use just some dummy data, but the architecture is what we release, right? And so that people can understand, okay, what is the input I should give? What is the output I can get? How does it work? Okay. So we are using RAG powered by LangChain and LangGraph for the agentic layer, and MCP for powering the entire discoverability.
Yeah, it's a great session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So thing is, again, I cover just FYI, right? From my side, I cover. I run this firm called Alumnx, right? So here, there is this. I run this program for upskilling, AI upskilling. So we do this as part of our, upskilling program. So all people who join my program, they work on this, right? So I have these various projects. So this is one of the several projects that we're working on, right? So building this WhatsApp chatbot. Okay, so I put it my program details. If you're interested, you can book a discovery call to understand more. Okay, so the idea is, if you wish to participate in this activity, right? This is for Indian farmers. It is completely open source, and it's not like a profit motive, not for profit motive. Goal is to disseminate information and technology for Indian farmers in the best possible way. And of course, our folks understand and learn, right? They, like you ask these questions, how do you use evals, right? So they have to learn everything. They have to learn observability, the metrics, what's the cost involved, right? And if farmers want a particular language, it's nice and easy to say you can provide it in English, right? But the point is, what is the cost involved? How much of cost is involved, right? You should know. So building applications is easy, but building applications at scale is hard, right? So that's where all these people work with us. And in fact, today, on Saturday, our team works and improves it. Every Saturday, we build a little bit of it and make it better. Okay. So whoever is in this program, they work with me, we work with the team, work as a team, and we build all these projects. So every 2 weeks, we finish one project in AI, right? So that's how all of these folks get to speed. So most of what is presented today is developed by our members only. Okay. So I guide them. So we all work together on that. So I put that course details in the chat. If you're interested, you can explore. Okay. Apart from that, any other questions? Anyone? Any quick thoughts or anything that you want to think about? So one thing I would just like to say is, the important thing is to question, right? So even if I've said MCP, the important thing is for you to question a few things in terms of, okay, just because you said I'm not going to accept, is there anything, could I have done it in a better way, or is it really necessary to take all this pain of all this, right? So those are things you should think about. The most important thing about MCP, what I like is, as and how new tools are added, right? Suppose you partner with ICRISAT and you develop set up an MCP with them. If new tools are added, we automatically discover them, right? So we don't have to again go and tell them, or they don't have to tell us. That's it. It's the beauty and power, the dynamic discoverability of the tools is the brilliance of MCP, correct? And that is why I'm promoting it, and I want to collaborate with more organizations to to understand. Again, I'm not saying they will implement tomorrow. It's not going to happen, right? But they should understand what it is, and they should be able to identify the risks involved, because obviously, ICRISAT, or if I see any of the other organizations, they might have their reservations around, can I publish my information or not? So that's going to be there. So we have to take care of all of that, right? So again, as a team, my cohort members and I, we all work and make sure that we are addressing all these concerns, and then only we launch it.